If he didn't do that, he would only have 2 years to live. And even though he has gone to his doctors at Johns Hopkins, but they never tested his autoimmune. So the more you age, the more inflammation. Some people say stem cells can cause cancer. There were like 3 cases saying they happened. You hear about stem cell treatments everywhere online, but do you ever wonder how those cells actually find your specific inflammation? I am pleased to have Eduardo Pérez join us to talk about stem cell therapy. So don't miss this episode on stem cell therapy experts, and remember to subscribe.
And this is actually where I might be asking you, I think, more questions than you'll be asking me. And it's an honor to be here with you, Dr. Yi. And just got back also from Synergy and saw the experience right on the outskirts of Medellin, Colombia. And really impressed with, as you mentioned here, with the holistic approach and having an environment that is safe for everyone to go and see. My wife and I were blown away, actually, by Synergy. Now, with that, I ask you, because for those that did not know, we went there, had a bad ankle, and have not been able to move it around. Now, I'm 3 days post, and this is crazy, but it feels a lot better. It's still sore because of the treatment. But I ask you, you put in 50 million cells into that, umbilical cord cells, into that, around the traumatic area that I had. Can you explain to me what the procedure is, what the process is now, what those cells are doing in order to take the inflammation out of there and to actually heal that area?
So according to the research available, the stem cells, once they are injected into your body, your joint, or through intravenous, they will stay inside your body for up to 3 months. And then they do not actually divide themselves. What they do is they're going to release growth factors, cell signaling molecules inside your body, inside the joints where they're injected. And then the growth factor cell signaling molecules will attract your own body's cells to come to the area where these cells are acting. Then these cells actually first, once they enter through the intravenous, they will sense where your body has inflammation. So sometimes, even though you don't feel that side has inflammation, but then these cells actually, they can sense it because of the cell signaling from the inflammatory site. So when they hone in, they have this property, according to a study even published back in 2017, they can hone into wherever your body has inflammation. And then they will attract your own body's repair system to go to the site where they're honing in, so that your body's repair mechanism can be concentrated in the area where it needs to repair.
In other words, they're bossy influencers is what they are.
Yes.
That's great, because I think a lot of people don't understand. They think that, okay, you inject the cells there and the cells immediately just repair it. No, they have to send signals then to your repair. Look, it's the science to me is, and I've read so much about it, understood what it does, but when, as a patient, to have had it done previously on my knee, and then understand that my knee has been, and we knock on wood, has been great ever since. And this was, I want to say, 3 years ago. And then now 3 days into it, I can sense that at least I have more range of motion with my ankle without pain. I had the range of motion, but with pain. And now it's just sore from the injections themselves. So I cannot wait to see what happens in the next coming days. Now, I ask you as a person, I think the listeners also and the viewers want to know, this was done 3 days ago. In a realistic approach, are we looking at maybe in a week? Are we looking at a month? Are we looking at 3 months from now? I should be pain-free? Or is each individual different?
So most people, each individual is different. However, the average is the first 2 days are very sore.
Yes.
Post-injection.
Yes.
And then it starts getting much better after the first 48 hours. Actually, it's already probably a little bit better after 24 hours because the first 24 hours is the toughest. So we want to prepare people to understand this is not like you don't feel anything, then you just feel great.
She's right. But I'll tell you this, she'll say, no, it'll be good. It'll be fine. It's painful. But I know it's for the greater good. And in this case, at least it was with my knee for the greater good. And now with my ankle, I could say I'm hoping, being 72 hours post, that it's for the greater good as well.
And also, for most people, after 3 weeks, you can start doing some gentle exercises. If you're a runner, if you like playing basketball or volleyball, you can actually do a little bit.
There we go. No, that's good to know. That's good to know. Because at my age, at 56, it's all about the golf right now, right? And the hardest part for me was, and the point where even my wife was like, we have to go see Dr. Yi, is when I went to the beach because of the irregular sand with the ankle, and it would affect, the side of my foot as well. So I cannot wait to go back to the beach and try to take some nice walks in the soft sand, because that's the one that really hurt. But as a patient, I will tell you that the process is it's the science behind it is phenomenal, but the experience itself, I thought, is what made you stand out. Your team was gracious. They were welcoming. They understood that, look, this is a process, and they made me feel comfortable going into the procedure with the IV. 100 million for me at that time. Cells, umbilical cord cells were put into it. My blood was then spun as well. They took the plasma and combined it with the cells, 50 million, and they were able to inject it into that area. And then you took the plasma back and you put it through the IV, though it was left over, back into my system. Why?
Because we actually treated your platelet-rich plasma, the double spin one. Actually, before the double spin, we treated with laser.
Okay.
So we treated with 660 nanometer and 850 nanometer light. So according to some research, again, it's not like really widely proven or anything. But since we understand the 660 nanometer plus 850 nanometer light can actually stimulate the mitochondria in your body, in the cells. So the mitochondria in the plasma, in the cells of the plasma, can also be stimulated by the light. And then some people say there are very small amount of cells called very small embryonic like stem cells in your plasma. So when you stimulate with the light in the plasma, those cells can be stimulated, can be activated. So then from there, we spin your blood again. Then we put the plasma back into your body, thinking it's possible that those activated very small embryonic like stem cells can actually enter your body again, and it's your own body stem cells, and then it can act together with the umbilical cord stem cells we already put in the IV.
What's the difference between umbilical cord, and I know I said it, but I need you to say it because you say it so much better than I do, and my own cells, if they tap into me to be able to pull out my cells?
So the umbilical cord stem cells is called mesenchymal stem cells. So it's one type of stem cells. There were like 4 different types of stem cells. And then when they tap into your bone marrow, that what they're obtaining is also mesenchymal stem cells. But in your bone marrow, there are also another kind of stem cells called hematopoietic stem cells. So those are the stem cells that generate blood cells in your body.
Okay.
So the reason some people say stem cells can cause cancer is because mesenchymal stem cells, they are non-tumorigenic. But the hematopoietic stem cells can be tumorigenic. So when you obtain your own body stem cells from your bone marrow, sometimes you may have some contaminated hematopoietic stem cells in it. Wow. So any proven cases, published cases about people getting stem cell injection into the joint, then they develop some kind of tumor down the road. There were like 3 cases published saying they happened. They got the stem cells from the bone marrow. So there's contamination from the hematopoietic stem cells instead of purely mesenchymal stem cells.
Wow. That I did not know. Now, I have to ask, with the umbilical cord stem cell, how do we know that that stem cell is safe? That's going to be put into, in my case, my body.
So in the lab, because this happens outside of the U.S., this is not done in the United States.
Okay.
So right now in the United States, you can do these things, grow the cells, separate the cells from the umbilical cord, or you can even separate the cells, mesenchymal stem cell, from your bone marrow or even your fatty tissue. You can grow them in the lab in the United States, but you can now use these cells you grow in the lab in clinical applications. So that's the difference. That's why we did that in Colombia, because we can grow the cells in the lab. So when you separate the cells from, say, either umbilical cord, fatty tissue, or bone marrow, the mesenchymal stem cells, they have a property to attach to the plastic where we are trying to grow the cells. Right. So they have this property. So the other type of cells, including even hematopoietic stem cells, they don't have this attachment property. So that's how you separate them. And once you grow the mesenchymal stem cells in the lab in huge amount, they actually, then you can grow so much, then you can actually run the flow cytometry in the lab to make sure these cells, they're not contaminated with any other cells. But if you only separate the cells from the umbilical cord or bone marrow or fatty tissue in the United States without expanding in the lab, you don't have enough amount of the cells to run this test to see whether you have any contamination. Because the most amount of cells you can get out of one umbilical cord is up to 25 million. And then you yourself, in one treatment, you already have 150 million cells.
Yeah, 50 in my ankle and 100
So that means if you don't grow the cells in the lab, you don't expand them, you only take them out of whatever source you get them, you have to get from multiple donors.
Right.
Or if you just get it from umbilical cord, you have to get from 5 donors or even more just to obtain that 150 million cells.
Wow, it's a lot to process right there. It's a lot to process right there. With the growing it in the lab, and now is this a outsourced lab or is this a lab that you also have at Synergy?
So we're actually building a lab at Synergy right now. So right now we're using a lab, but they are a reputable source. And then for the growing part, you only need one donor because you can grow so much. So you only need one donor for 2 or 3 years. And then we're now the only clinic getting the cells from this lab. So they're selling to multiple different clinics, different doctors. And our clinic alone have been obtaining in the past 5 years billions of cells from them. So you just imagine how many cells you can grow out of one donor. And then in the past 4 years, they were only using one single donor because they code their certificate so you know it's from one single donor.
Okay, great. I'll tell you this. I went into Synergy and At the beginning, definitely not skeptical because I know it works. I went in there already having been treated with my knee. I actually went in nervous because I knew the pain what I was going to have because of the acute pain that I already had in that area. So you were going to inject around it. But the IV was it was seamless. It was easy. We know about that acute area and what it does to go around. Once it goes into the bloodstream, same messages, yet how do those cells then scatter around, pretty much go and work in your entire body?
So they're attracted to where you have inflammation.
No matter where, it just goes.
Exactly. So if somebody who has had heart conditions, then they would have some inflammation in the heart. So then the cells actually can go into the heart to do the repair, attract your own body repair system. If you have lung issue, like yesterday I just got a call from somebody in Maryland. He actually was diagnosed 2 weeks ago with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So they didn't even know the reason. And he said he's 68 and he has been fairly healthy himself, and he does a lot of eating healthy, doing exercise. So I don't know him very well. Just based on what I talked to him on the phone, it seems like he has been having fairly healthy lifestyle, not really bad lifestyle like eating junk food, not caring about inflammation or anything. But out of nowhere, he said he had COVID, and then after COVID, 2 years ago, he had pneumonia. So then all of a sudden, the past 1 year, he felt he was having shortness of breath, but he didn't know why. And then finally, now they diagnosed that one of his lungs had 10% fibrosis. And then he was told by his doctor at Johns Hopkins. He's saying several well-known doctors at Johns Hopkins, and then they were telling him he had to get on some anti-fibrosis medication. If he didn't do that, he would only have 2 years to live. If he get on the anti-fibrosis medication, he will have 2 to 5 years to live.
And how does stem cell come into play here?
So for that one, if you do intravenous injection of stem cells, though for him, he probably need to have 2 or 3 treatments in the first 6 months to even make it effective for his condition, because he's already given the short period of time he can live because of the fibrosis. But he told me his fibrosis was only in one lung. But when we do the intravenous infusion, then the first place these cells travel to will be the lung because it's through the vein. And then we also do the nebulizer for him to inhale the stem cells directly into the lung so that the cells can act in his lung where he's having the fibrosis, and also even the area that's developing the fibrosis because of the inflammation. So then it can reduce the inflammation, so then it can reduce the progression of the fibrosis. Because the reason he was given 2 to 5 years to live is because once your lung is certain percent or 70% of fibrosis or dead, you cannot breathe anymore because you don't have the oxygen exchange into your blood. That's why you're going to die. Wow.
I'm getting a crash course here. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. That's great. What's my next steps? Because I just had the injection 3 days ago. What are my next steps to maintain?
So even after stem cell treatment, it's not like stem cell will do the magic without anything else. So you have to also be on anti-inflammatory diet, just like what you mentioned. You need to really pay attention to the diet so that you don't add more inflammation into your body. And then you also need to do other adjunct therapies to enhance the effect of the stem cells. So one of the things I told you to do is to do the red light.
Yes.
And then we even mentioned like when...
I don't leave home without it, by the way. I don't leave home without it. It's right here.
So even when we did the plasma, we treated the plasma with the 660 and 850 nanometer red light to stimulate the mitochondria. So the same thing is, like to answer your previous question, when we injected the stem cells into your ankle, actually the stem cells will also transfer some of their mitochondria into your own body stem cells through the vesicle. So that's the other thing about called exosomes. So sometimes we also do the intravenous of stem cells with exosomes, usually for neurological conditions like dementia, Parkinson's, because exosomes are smaller in size than the stem cells. So it's easier for the exosomes to cross the blood-brain barrier than the stem cells.
Okay.
But let's go back to the joint. So when the stem cells enter any joint, we inject it with a lot of inflammation, scar tissue. The stem cells actually will stimulate your own body stem cells and also transfer their mitochondria to your own body stem cell to wake them up, because your own body stem cell will get the mitochondria, the young mitochondria from the umbilical cord stem cells. And then your own body stem cells, once they are waken up, they become young again. So they're like maybe 20 years old.
Oh my God.
Then they can start doing the repair much more efficiently. So then they start maybe chopping up the area where you have the scar tissue so that those scar tissue are not very rough anymore. Because the reason you have a lot of inflammation from the scar tissue, I think your ankle is also from the scar tissue. That's why when you walk on the sand, because it rubs against the scar tissue there, where whatever it caused before, long time ago or something like that, or over time, then it has a friction. So that's why it causes inflammation. But if you smooth it out, so for a lot of knee condition, like your meniscus surgery 3 years ago, that was also because of the scar tissue that's causing a lot of inflammation. So once you smooth the area out, then you will not cause that much inflammation. So then that's why you don't have the pain anymore.
It's true. Inflammation equals pain.
Yeah.
I want to go back to my 20-year-old self. That's the one I want to go back to. But I still want to know all the stuff that I know now at 56. That's definite. And this is the coolest part is you're supposed to be interviewing me yet. I wanted to interview you because I think as a patient, we have to also ask the questions. We have to ask our doctors the questions. Unfortunately, in the United States, it's not FDA approved. So a lot of doctors, they understand, I don't want to get political in this. I don't want to get into all that stuff. But I think, and I've said it in our other segment before, where we have to be open. We're so hesitant to change. We're so hesitant to try new things. And I think it's for me, it's been a great experience. And I wanted to at least be here and share at least my experience and share the questions that I had with you, because I think it's important that when you have that appointment with your doctor, wherever you may be, it could be in Europe, South America, it could be in the United States, ask the questions. Go in informed. And if you're not, go in and do your research and see if they're informed. And if you're not satisfied with that answer, go get yourself a second opinion. You're entitled to it. And, sometimes it's our body. It's our body where we have to also make a decision on how we want to feel. I know 3 years ago, my life changed with every step that I took because I was pain-free from that knee. So I'm hoping that the lifetime of these cells, the 50 million that'll be there working for 3 months, these umbilical cord cells, stem cells, will be able to signal to my receptors, go fix what's there. All
so
right?
It's very important that sometimes how many cells you use in the injection also matters, especially in your case or in case people have active lifestyle and they want to achieve the pain-free movement. Sometimes if you use only 10 million or 20 million, you may not achieve the same kind of effect. So that's why we use 50 million, because for some people, sometimes the cost is a concern. Yeah. So then we have to reduce the amount of cells we use. So if you use, say, 10 million or 20 million, just like when you have your own body stem cells, you would only have no more than 10 million obtained from your bone marrow. Then in that kind of case, for people, especially older or with more severe injury, or if they want to achieve longer lasting result, sometimes they have to do 2 treatments instead of 1 treatment because you only use 10 million cells. But then as far as what I've seen, if you use 50 million cells for joint injection, in most cases, you will achieve very long-lasting result as long as you don't re-injure the area again.
Case in point. Now, what we did the joint one with 50 million, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was painful. It was painful. I knew it. There was a little bit left. Also.
Yes.
There was a little bit left. There was, and I was like, what do you want to do with this? So, full disclaimer here. Full disclaimer. Went to the sides right here. So there's also at Zenerchi, you guys also do stem cells for the face, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And you were explaining that to my wife as well. What kind of procedure is that, and why does that also work?
So again, like when you inject the stem cells into the face, it stimulates your own body's fibroblast in the subcutaneous layer of your skin.
Subcutaneous.
Yes.
For in common, so people understand subcutaneous. We're talking not deep into the muscle. We're like when people inject Botox, for example, that's deeper than this, right?
Yes, because Botox works on the muscle.
Okay.
And it's to make your muscle now contract so that you don't have the lines.
Okay.
But Botox doesn't stimulate skin regeneration. So your fibroblasts are responsible for skin regeneration and also generating collagen. So the fibroblasts are in the subcutaneous layer. So it's about 2 millimeter to 2.5 millimeter depth into your skin. So when we do the microneedling, it's usually 2 millimeter depth with the microneedling.
So right on top.
And actually, after you guys left 4 days ago, I actually did it myself on my face. But you cannot tell, right?
No.
But to be honest, actually, I have been getting intravenous infusion every 3 or 4 months myself. I don't have any conditions that I need to really
So it's
treat.
for maintenance.
Yes, it's for anti-aging purpose because I don't want my inflammation to get too high. Then I start thinking about, I need to do the intravenous stem cell. I need to do this injection into my joint. That's one principle about regeneration effect is actually early prevention. So how early is it called early prevention? Of course, the earlier, the better. It's better to plant the tree 20 years ago, but if you can plant the tree now, it's still good.
I'm planting a tree. That's what I'm doing. I'm planting a tree. I'm satisfied. I planted the tree. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so for your next step, because you're 56, so for anybody aging, and I'm 50, so basically your body keep having more inflammation with your age.
Okay.
So the more you age, the more inflammation, chronic inflammation your body generates. The reason for that is actually because your body's stem cell declines. So because your body needs constant regeneration and repair, but if your body stem cells decline in the number and in the capability, then it cannot keep up with the regeneration to repair your daily activity, the damage caused by your daily activity inside your body. So then that's when the deficit builds up. Once it builds up over time, then that's the chronic inflammation.
And there you have it. Chronic inflammation equals pain.
And chronic inflammation is one of the 14 hallmarks of aging from the aging meeting in Copenhagen in 2022. So we have a big wheel showing 14 hallmarks, including like telomere, autophagy, microbiome in the gut,
We can go on and on, right?
DNA splicing, and then irregular cell division.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm getting a pretty good crash course here on it.
So a lot of people like biohackers. So then they would try to do a lot of things, including the red light. So red light is a very good anti-aging procedure to do daily. Even like, combining with stem cell and everything. So that's why even post stem cell injection, if you do the localized red light, it prolongs the effect of stem cell treatment.
No, I've been using it. I've been using my red light. That's one thing that even on the plane on the way back, I was using the red light. I put a boot on so I can stabilize the red light and keep it on there, the whole thing. So I appreciate you so much. This is fantastic.
So even like, right now you're using it locally on your ankle, but then you can also get a big panel and then do it 10 minutes every day, which is also very beneficial for anti-aging purpose.
On the face area?
The big panel, actually, I just got a big panel for $2,500.
Okay.
Then you just, every day when you wake up in the morning, you turn it on. You can even, because it has a stand, so it's like horizontal.
Right.
So you can just lie in bed and do it for 10 minutes. And then I turn around, do my back for 10 minutes. So total 20 minutes every day. I feel it's very beneficial for anti-aging. So you already said like today or yesterday when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel a lot of aches and pains you usually feel. So if you combine this with this daily red light therapy for the whole body, it will be even better.
My goodness, keep it coming. Keep it coming. I got to save up now. $2,500. Don't tell my wife.
Well, for you, I mean, for most people, $2,500, they probably spend $2,500 just...
yeah, some people do it. Hey, I get it. I understand.
For your own health, it's worth it,
you got to invest in you.
Yeah.
You got to invest in you. You're right. Fully educated on it. That's phenomenal. I wish I would have paid more attention in my biology class like I did right now. Oh, Mrs. Gonzalez, where would she be right now?
So Mrs. Gonzalez was your biology teacher?
She was my biology teacher. She is my biology teacher. Every time, focus on that microscope. Let's go. Look in. Cell division. Learning the tables of elements. All that stuff. It was quite an experience.
So besides, like, say, red light, also the other thing you do red light in the morning, which is good for your body, is because you want to wake up your body circadian. So in the morning, if you have more red light, it wakes up your body circadian to get ready for the day.
And okay, and that gets you ready for the day. So you do it 10 minutes in the front, 10 minutes in the back. And this is, you have it next to your bed, so you're on one side?
Yeah, I just put it near my bed. So when I wake up, I just pull it into my bed and then start it. Okay,
great. Now, do you have to protect your eyes with the red light?
Yeah, you need to use a goggle. Or there's the dark glass, so you don't want to look into the light directly. But when you do your back, you can actually, you don't have to wear it.
Right.
And then when I do my back, I actually turn my head this way so I can shine on my face this side more, because I think this side of my face is drooping more than the other side.
That's another show. That's another show.
Well, maybe after Mirva and her friends do all the face things, then we can have another show just talking about face.
Definitely, we're gonna have a group trip over there. They call it the girls' trip. Boys will go too, though. We'll go too, because everybody has information. And I'm telling you right now, it's something to definitely check out.
If you are finding our conversation helpful, please make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss our future episodes. We talk about everything from stem cell science to holistic healing approaches, all grounded in research and real results.
Now, take me through a process if I were to contact you What are the questions? Do I have to sign something? Do I have to fill in a form online? How do I get a hold of you? And then what are the next steps?
Okay. So for most regular procedure for the stem cell treatment is to fill out the form first. I will send you a link, and then we will go through a complementary assessment to see what's going on in your whole body, not just like whatever your concern has. For example, the guy who had the pulmonary fibrosis, actually we were talking about whether he has autoimmune condition that's attacking his lung. Otherwise, why would he develop this type of issue?
Right.
And even though he has gone to his doctors at Johns Hopkins, but they never tested his autoimmune. They never tested any blood test, did any blood test to see whether he has autoimmune. But he said, one of the doctor already said probably he has autoimmune, even though they didn't test it. So then we have to go through your whole body, his health history, so that we understand what's going on. Then we explain to you from our perspective, not just from stem cell treatment, because not everybody needs stem cell. I mean, I would say everybody needs stem cell. Everybody can benefit from it. But first of all, not everybody have the financial means to afford it. And then second, maybe we can do something, just changing something that doesn't cost much or even free. Then you can get better. You can feel better. But for some people, maybe it's not going to be 100% better without the stem cell. Then we can recommend you to do other things. Because some people nowadays, I don't know whether you heard of it, they also do peptide.
Yes.
So peptide injection. That's another way of reducing inflammation. But in my personal opinion, I don't think it's as powerful as stem cell treatment. But it can reduce the inflammation.
It can, but it's not, yeah. And can you combine both the peptide and the stem cell treatment?
Yes.
You can. All right.
Yep.
All right. That's good. And people that do the peptides, it's more on the microdosing side of it.
It's like anything, like including Ozempic or Mounjaro. Some people, they just overdo it. And that's why, there are like controversial things about, is this proven? Is it safe? All these things. But everything, if you do it in the right way and combining with other things together in the right proportion, it becomes very powerful.
All right. That's outstanding.
So the reason, how you find out what is the right thing for you, because everybody's body is different. You cannot say, oh, this person did this, that I'm just going to follow exactly the same protocol as what that person does. It may not give you the best result because your body is different.
Okay. I get it. Now, that's another show, the peptides.
Exactly. But basically, we need to recognize each person's unique body.
Right.
And then we need to design a system of different approaches in the right proportion to address each person's condition.
Well, the one thing I do know is that the cells right now are under work. They're working right now. And it's just a matter of just letting in and allowing them to work. But I sort of took over the show because I wanted to ask questions. I think it's the most important part also with with anyone that goes to any doctor. And in this case, going into Xenergy, I asked so many questions leading up to it. I think it was important to trust that, you showed where the cells were coming from as well, the laboratory, the testing of the laboratory. People ask also, are these cells pre-COVID or post-COVID? Why is that important? I thought that was one of the things that stood out when you told me these are pre-COVID cells.
Because if you obtain the umbilical cord stem cells from the parents who are both vaccinated for COVID, then because this COVID vaccine actually can make your own body cells displaying the spike protein, which is the vaccine does, because it wants your body to have some spike protein inside your body so that you produce the antibody to protect you from the COVID infection.
Okay.
So because of that, it's possible that their umbilical cord stem cells, their baby's umbilical cord stem cells, can also have that spike protein mRNA inside. Then it can cause some autoimmune conditions if you use that type of stem cells, because all these spike proteins are actually considered a foreign protein, even though the stem cell itself cannot cause any immune rejection, because the mesenchymal stem cells doesn't have the receptor on their cells to trigger anybody's immune reaction, because these umbilical cord stem cells are from the donors, not from yourself. So that's one of the concerns some people have.
Right.
They don't want to have any foreign cells in their body. But these cells, actually, they're not going to cause the immune rejection because they're specialized in immunoprivilege. They are going to escape your own body's immune reaction.
Doctor, you have to ask, because I think everybody that goes in has to ask. And if people are listening still, they want to know, why Colombia for you?
I just feel it's a very nice natural environment. And also the food, like we talk about anti-inflammatory diet. So the food there is much fresher than what we can have here in the US. So you need this whole healing process after the stem cell treatment for your body to have more reduced inflammation and then to recover from the injury or any kind of issue you're addressing with the stem cell working. So, and also because of the regulation.
Okay, exactly. That's where I was going to go, because I think the people have to ask. So but I thought it was interesting because you gave me an answer that I wasn't expecting. The food in Colombia, I noticed when I was there, it was different. I mean, the egg yolk, different.
Because
fruit,
the chicken, you can see we have chicken on our property.
Yes.
So it's fresh eggs, and they are now fed with synthetic feeds. They're fed with the real food. Right. And then, so the eggs produced, they don't have high content of oleic acid, that, because in US, when you feed the chicken the corn feeds, those type of things that are very synthetic. And then the egg they produce are not as fresh either.
Yeah, I thought it was impressive, especially when one is so used to the US on that part, and you see like all these organic sections over there. Everything seems to be organic, so people don't even put it up as organic. It is what it is. It's our food.
And also the vegetable, everything you buy from the farmers directly, yeah. They don't last that long because they're not sprayed with any preservatives. Yes. So it's very fresh. So that's why even when I go there, every single time I can lose weight easily. But when I come back to US, I would start gaining weight.
Oh, okay. It's interesting because I went over there and I ate so much, and I got back and I didn't gain any weight. It was crazy. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Now, why is this not regulated in the United States?
I think it's because I actually talked about it in some of my other shows. Because first, this umbilical cord stem cells cannot be patented as a drug. It's a natural ingredient. And also itself is not a homogeneous ingredient. Even the umbilical cord stem cells we inject into you, it actually has many subpopulations of mesenchymal stem cells.
Okay.
And then each subpopulation, they have some properties too. So certain subpopulation actually can even repair better than the other, but right now we don't separate them. But in my belief, from my background, I really believe anything as close to nature as possible. they work better than if you extract certain things.
That's an exclamation mark right there.
Yeah. Because if you extract it out of the context, let's say, some people, they actually say in the subpopulation, there's a kind of stem cell called Muse stem cells.
Okay.
And then they say they can extract it. And then that particular subpopulation of the mesenchymal stem cells, they actually don't grow as fast as the rest of them. But then they have some other properties that they can help your body repair better. So, but if you extract that particular subpopulation, then you get it out of context of the others. And I think the others actually facilitate that one to repair better, even though the others, maybe they don't have certain genetic marker on the cells to make them stimulate the repair of the body faster, but they probably stimulate this stem cell to provide the environment for this subpopulation to repair it better. So if you only extracted that particular subpopulation, it may not have that context. So even though itself in the lab can say, this is better than the subpopulation 1 or 2, but this number 3 may not work as well. I don't know. I don't have any proof, but in my belief, and also the book about regeneration effect, everything is about you want to get close to nature as
possible.
So,
okay.
So that's the reason why the big pharmaceutical companies, their goal is to extract certain ingredient out of the natural ingredient. Even like the statin drug for cholesterol. The statin drug itself actually is extracted from a kind of fungus. So the fungus has been used in Chinese medicine for centuries to treat cholesterol issue. So you can actually just eat that particular ingredient called red yeast rice without any extraction in your diet, and your cholesterol can be lowered naturally without taking any statin drug. But then when they extract the active ingredient from that, yes, it does work in reducing your cholesterol, but it's taken out of the context.
Fungus. It's great. It makes so much sense. It really does. It makes so much sense. But that's interesting. And you mentioned big pharmaceutical companies. In other words, big pharma. And those are hard to compete with here in the United States with the regulations.
And also they lobby the government.
Yeah, they lobby the government, and then it can turn very political. And that's what
And the whole system, the whole current medical system was actually set up around 1900, 1910 by John D. Rockefeller. And they took out a lot of natural part of the healing out of the curriculum in medical school and set up this whole system, basically FDA, the pharmaceutical company. So basically they just want to give people drugs and surgery.
Drugs and surgery. And here comes Dr. Yi to sort of rattle all of that. And that's the part that I love about this. So this is awesome.
I know this is very informative for audience, and then we can do more in the future.
Absolutely.
For facial, for any natural ingredients for health and holistic healing.
Yeah, there's so much to go with, and I think we're just at the cusp, at the beginning of this, and I can't wait to go back to Medellin, to fly into Medellin, to be able to go see you, and to see the progress it continues to build. As Energy was, it's continuing to build. You're continuing to add. You can stay there as well. It's a great retreat. I saw also the cabins, and it's pretty darn cool.
And also you can climb Guadalupe, the rock again.
Oh my goodness. This time without pain. There was a lot of pain. I did that the day before, and I was able to climb Guadalupe, but I have to climb it in a quicker pace than I did last time.
And also the other benefit of going to Colombia, because you can also go to Mexico, Costa Rica, or even Panama. They also have stem cell clinic there. So the difference is In Colombia, I feel that area, it has a lot of mountain, so you can naturally go up and down. You know, you don't even need to do a lot of gym exercise, and you get the natural exercise like the blue zone people do.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense. You're right. You're right. Definitely a lot of hills and a lot of walking and a lot of climbing. You're right about that. But it's not only that, it's the culture, it's the people, it's the food. You mentioned the food. It's how clean it is. It's and how festive and welcoming the people also of that area of Colombia are. So this is awesome. I'm so happy I came here to see you today.
Very nice having you here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.